These small Eucalyptus viminalis plugs are in fabulous condition at the moment. Really good healthy roots and nice fresh top growth. I have a slightly different method of planting the small root train plugs. All I do now is I have the small earth auger, I think it's 40mm or 30mm, so basically a bulb planter, and I just make my hole with that. And the ground here is stony, so I have it on hammer action, a drill on hammer action. You might need to open out the top a bit, and then I don't even put any pellets of poultry manure in, I just pop the plug in and I make sure it's down far enough so when the wind blows it doesn't blow it all the way over, and also it means the fox doesn't dig it up, which, to be fair to the fox, it doesn't do it that often, but it's annoying when it does. So that's all I do now, and this new method means that you can plant easily 100 eucalyptus small plugs in a couple of hours maximum. This area, this garden that I've now turned into a mini forest, is very healthy now. Trees alone improve soil quality, though for the most part I've also improved it with milk kefir. I'm convinced that works. This area here up top was particularly poor in terms of growth until I dosed it all with milk kefir, and now, as you can see, everything's vigorous and healthy. This is a good example of how I'm planting them, just maybe about 40 millimeters, 3-4 centimeters below the surface, and that means that when the wind blows it has something to support it. You don't need to stake them. It's been wet this summer and the mushrooms are growing. First noticed they were growing about a month ago. Mushrooms are another sign that your soil is in good condition. When I first came here, I don't remember seeing any mushrooms at all. Viminalis can be prone to windburn, so my strategy is that this row of viminalis that I've planted down here will get some shelter and protection from the globulus, which I've just planted over there, and I'll show you them shortly. Viminalis can be coppiced, and that's still, firewood is still a big part of why I'm growing my mini forest here. I think it's very unlikely I'm going to have the heart to cut down any of my bigger, nicer growing trees, but I might be comfortable coppicing these viminalis. And as you can see from the growth of those that do get windburn, and some of these were a touch susceptible to the freeze at the end of 2022 there. As you can see, most of them are absolutely fine and growing strongly. Anyways, those that were affected weren't long in coming back with substantial, vigorous, healthy new growth. And these are the globulus I've planted to fill in the gaps where trees, viminalis, were blown over with storm bara. And I hasten to add, these were viminalis that were very poorly planted, very shallowly planted to start with, and they weren't planted from root train plugs, which I absolutely recommend. And one thing I should have said earlier on perhaps is that these are root train plugs. Do not tease out or break apart the root plug, just make a hole as I've shown you there for the small plugs, and I'll show you what I've done here for the globulus shortly. But just make your hole pop the plug in. If it's a small plug planted the way I've just shown you, then that's that. And if you're planting larger plugs, probably that's quite a good one to see there, a larger hole. So I have a larger, I think it's an 8 centimetre auger which fits on the battery operated drill, and it's just perfect for the large plugs and the medium plugs. Either way, whether you're planting small, medium or large plugs, don't tease out or break apart the root plug at all, just plant as is. The earth auger drills a pretty raggy hole in this stony ground, and I've filled in the cavities between the plug and the edge of the hole with some riddled peat-based compost. Now that the soil's in such good condition, I'd rather be using riddled topsoil. Anyways, here's a couple of the Viminalis that blew over during Storm Bara, and I cut down for wind-blown firewood, windfall. In fairness to them, they were starting to come back, most of them. As you can see from this one here, sawed it off there and starting to come out with new growth now. And there's where it ripped out the roots. Globulus will be much more wind resilient. It is very exposed here. There's nothing really to stop the strong, cold North Atlantic gales barreling in here like Storm Bara, which was just ferocious here. So Globulus will be more wind resilient. They might not be quite as frost tolerant, though I'm betting we're not going to get a severe cold snap such as that at the end of 2022 in the next 10 years or so. And the more mature a tree becomes, the more hardier it becomes, so the more resilient it will be to both wind burn and freezing temperatures. So this Viminalis is my favourite Viminalis, planted just before the beast from the east. So from memory, that was March 2018. Just fabulous. Very sturdy, very strong tree. So another fact about Globulus, the same as Viminalis, Globulus can be coppiced. I don't actually have any stock of Globulus at the moment, though these won't be long. I plugged these up on the 26th of June, so around 35 days ago, and already the best of them, 35 centimetres tall. Globulus just grows so fast, even from the get-go. Not just the top growth, good, healthy, strong white root growth now starting to come out the plugs. And as I say, only after a little over a month. Apart from the fact that these bigger nitens are becoming really attractive trees, they're also providing substantial shelter from any severe Atlantic gales that we get here. So therefore they're protecting my property to some extent. And I was astonished after Storm Bara. These were just so sturdy. So I'm starting to turn this area into my compost heap now that I've planted further down. But as you can see, they really do get a grip into the ground, nitens. Very sturdy, very wind resilient. Thanks for watching. Good luck.